you think it went? Or your first time on a podcast with us?
Oh, it was nice. It was definitely an experience of trying to condense a lot of information into kind of digestible parts, especially if you want to get the information out there and like learn, but also be able to provide viewers with like a chance to kind of research it further.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a teaser, one step deeper than just a typical headline. But it seems like you know a lot about the writer's strike. Why are you interested in that so much? What got you there?
So basically, I've had friends in like creative fields in the past. I've also been a creative myself, but for the most part, it's been a lot of I've been just seeing a lot of that information kind of flowing in from firsthand accounts from people, especially like on TikTok. I've seen a lot of firsthand accounts, and I also acknowledge like I have kind of a foot in kind of both ends of those worlds of the tech end and kind of the creative end. So kind of learning about that, and also my mom, she's head of like some groups in her union. So I've always known a lot
Cool.
about like union specific things. Because she's also advised me and said, hey, if you ever see this happen in like a job that you're in, especially like when I was like, younger and like more like service level job, she's like, be aware of this, be know your rights and know like what happens.
It's good to know.
Yeah, it's every few years she negotiates, uh, goes with her group in the union to go negotiate their contract. So I've heard about this and I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm kind of curious to see that. And also at the same time, when the Writers Guild was going on strike, there was other unions going on strike with like Teamsters, right, and the California hotel workers as well.
So a lot at once.
It
Yeah.
was at one point I asked my mom, I was like, oh, do you think your union is going to end up being part of some of the solidarity or some stuff with it? And she was like, we're not sure yet, but it could happen.
Wow. So you're hitting like a kind of a perfect storm of all things that are interesting to you as well with that. No, it was good. It turns out you could see the passion and the knowledge that you have with it. And then Matt, anything on the cybersecurity? That's your degree, right? Your degree kind of falls in that
It wasn't my degree. No, I'd done a little bit with it in the
in school.
military, and then yeah, and then some stuff with school. Um, the cybersecurity piece. It's interesting that we have a term vishing now for it, because the concept of that, they essentially did that to my granddad,
Oh yeah.
like 10, 12 years ago, maybe even longer. And it was personal attack. It wasn't like a business or anything, but
Mm.
senior citizens were targets, being less familiar stereotypically with technology. And he was doing a lot of like genealogy work, and trying to trace that.
Oh
And
yeah.
someone called him and told him that he had an issue with his Windows system, right? And he gave them credentials and permission to take over his computer, and
Ah,
essentially took all his data. Yeah.
it's crazy. You just need like continuous training on that because these people just get more and more creative and then target the folks they know.
Yeah.
Just don't. No. Yeah, no. And then there's Vision, there's Verms, right? They just throw the virus V in there.
Yeah.
Um, but no, interesting. And then your last piece too on the second to last piece, the Amazon piece. Are they doing anything with cloud
Uh,
specifically?
so I didn't find like in writing a direct, like I saw some speculative articles
Mhm.
too. But so there's ground station that allows you to configure satellites for your application architecture. But Project Kuiper is, I tried to phrase it where it'd be complementary, like there could be benefit to that growing the AWS system, but that's not
Mhm.
what it's being launched for. It's being launched for underserved internet access, basically. Google has a similar initiative that I was trying to remember the name of too. I had not added it to my notes, and as we were talking, I remembered it. But they have like a 5G initiative. I don't think it's satellites though; it's their towers that they're
Mm.
trying to increase internet access with. So. Um, yeah, I did you see anything directly relating AWS ground
I
station to Kuiper?
I didn't, but I was trying to see like with like SpaceX, with Starlink, like why are companies doing this for free? Obviously, there's a data piece, but did you kind of uncover anything else, or what else are they doing with that data?
my speculation is it helps market share too, because what is cloud, especially from Google, who's invested, right? Starlink, I'm not sure what they're trying to do in terms of like X or whatever. They don't. Amazon and Google make sense to me because they have directly benefiting platforms
Mhm.
too. SpaceX, obviously, the space side of things, but the internet side of things, that's a little bit more opaque to me. I'm not sure, but the cloud is an internet connection to someone else's stuff to power resources. Being someone that went to school like 10 years apart, when I first was in college and did a small Java project before I was like, man, I don't want to do this, and I dropped out.
Uh-huh.
Cloud wasn't a thing, right? And
No.
so there was no such thing as college students deploying applications in Capstone and like we do now. And then when I went back to school, you could do that. And so that's because of increased internet accessibility and other things too. And so yeah, there might be some hidden initiatives from Amazon
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that.
That's interesting. Yeah, like what else could they be getting? Because I know, for instance, like Meta gives out, access to the internet, and basically, if you read the Chaos Machine, another really good book that came out, I think this year, talks about how Meta gave it to these countries that maybe are, underdeveloped or less access there. And what ends up happening is they only really have access to limited internet and Meta, and then so they started using Meta as the news, right? Overall, and you can probably guess where that goes by the title of the book. But yeah, I mean, interesting on SpaceX giving it out,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and what is with Meta and so not, I guess social engineering to some degree, but social media, I should say, what do they sell? You, right? You're the
Mhm.
product, your
Yep,
data and stuff too. So, yeah,
that's that's a saying, right? If you're getting something for free, you're the product, right?
yeah.
Uh, Orchid, did you want to mention anything on that as well as we kind of get wrapping up here?
Just the fact that you're talking about like selling yourself as part of the experience of social media kind of reminds me of there's been like a trend recently of a lot of people saying, hey, there's like a lot more ads, way more than were previously on social media. Even things like streaming services, there's obviously spikes in just cost, but there's more ads, especially. And a lot of people are saying, hey, like I'm now getting options to pay for. Obviously, you've seen the options to pay for YouTube, so it's ad free. TikTok's doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
There's other social media sites that like are doing the same thing. I think was it? I think it was like Tumblr. I think Facebook has an option now. Might be wrong about that, but um, that's becoming increasingly more of a thing. And some social media users are saying, "Hey, why pay for this content when it's just me? Um, I
Mm-hmm.
I'm the product, and why do I have to kind of push for more ads or have ad free? I'll keep using the site as is, but I think there's a balance that some companies needs to worry about. Hey, if I push too many ads, my platform is going to be unusable and people are going to look for the next best thing, or maybe they're just going to go outside and, like our colleague Christina says, go touch some grass. But
Yeah, you're right too, and especially as these, for instance, satellites go up there and more people get access, right? The market becomes larger, and then there's going to be a point where, hey, look, market is covered in essence, kind of like how maybe the streaming services feel at the moment, and then they have to get to these next levels of payment, right? So then these social platforms, as you mentioned, they're kind of testing it a little bit now.
yeah,
Overall, see where it goes. Yeah,
for sure. I
yeah.
will say that there's an argument being made right now that obviously streaming services have been running at a loss, especially
Mm-hmm.
Disney. Right? They can afford to run at a loss for a long time.
Mm.
But many people are saying that, like, yeah, like I'm canceling these services because it's just I can't afford to pay for 7 different streaming services.
Yeah.
But kind of an idea of the fact that, hey, if the fact that like it's not profitable to have these streaming services without generating some sort of revenue, why aren't there kind of more transparent talks of having more ads there and having kind of like commercials back, but
Mm-hmm.
understanding that, hey, this is how we're going to be able to afford having a streaming service if there is this sort of setup. So definitely something to think about as like people start to reevaluate like what they want to budget for.
Yeah, I think our golden age of cheap streaming is over. See, over. Matt, anything else to say as we probably hit the stop button here?
Everything's connected here on what we talked about. The major streaming services, I'll throw out pretty much all of them. Use a little bit of AWS too. Full circle.
I expect nothing.